The new Premier League champions take on Real for the second leg of the Europa League semi-final. It's not a total mismatch tonight. Real do have a crucial away goal. So if the match was to end in 3-3 draw, Real would go through on away goals, but an away goal for the new champions, and this matchup is all but over. Jose going with a bit more of a stronger side tonight than in the previous match. Obviously took Real for granted a little bit, but like we said at the top of the last leg's broadcast, Real did do really well to get here, so we had to praise them for that at least. And it's Van Housen again, who refereed the first leg. Unfortunately, we have no teams to bring to you again, for whatever reason. Not that it probably means much. I think to hazard a guess, Real are probably playing with the same lineup that played last time out. And for Manchester United, it's a whole bunch of changes. I think Romero actually keeps his place in goal. Tuanzebe is actually paired with Chris Smalling tonight, in a first appearance for quite some time for Chris Smalling. It's both with Jackson and Nelson Semedo on the fullback flanks there. Midfield is Rudy with Fosu-Mensah, and then further ahead of them is Mata with Memphis and Lingard, with the most recent injury to Henry Mkhitaryan, and he'll be out for 3 months. So basically the rest of the season for him. Up front is Marcus Rashford, just in case Manchester United need to score an abundance of goals. And that's off the post, and Real threatening early on. A very unusual story that's really nothing more than a rumour and probably completely overblown is that many Manchester United higher representatives were in America for some reason. No one would really say what the reason was, but they were in America and talking with some very interesting people apparently, but that's all anybody would say. So to me it sounds like nothing more than an overblown rumour, to be honest. Manchester United have enough on their plate with the situation involving the Pogba transfer, which is a bit overdoing it if I'm honest as well. Kind of superfluous since it was like 9 months ago. But White Hart Lane and Spurs for the new Premier League champions Manchester United. Out by the goalkeeper, and a pretty cagey first half. Not really much to speak of in terms of chances. Marcus Rashford dragging a couple wide. Saved by the keeper from a good head from Smalling. Real sending a couple of sides early in the first half, but I think they could be running out of gas pretty quickly. All done and dusted for Manchester United, at least for now. It's 0-0 on the night. And still Manchester United with that lead that is getting every bit bigger, really, with every passing minute. I think they really need to focus on doing that now that they've won the Premier League and actually proven that they can be still a winning force in the English game. Off the bar. Headed back in. Agustin to Valusi, and he's put it wide. Turatani. Turatani's in the box. Wide open. Romero gets there. It's off the bar. And finally this game has livened up a little bit. And Real sending another statement of intent. I think it came off Romero onto the bar and bounced back in front of Romero rather luckily, and he gathered the ball up. He could still lose this on the night and progress, of course. And over the cross into Rashford, and it's all over. Well, because of the commentators there, but for Manchester United for a change. And Lingard has been superb when it comes to assists. He delivered some beautiful balls into the likes of Pogba, and this is another one from Jesse Lingard, and that's why he's been offered a 4-year contract extension and accepted, of course. And Marcus Rashford finally breaks a little bit of a duck he's been having, and he scores again. Well, the scoring machine is back, and it's his 5th goal in the Europa League this season. And this tie is all but finished now because Manchester United have the away goal, so now Real have to score 3 just to put it into extra time, and 4 to progress on winning aggregate. They can't have the away goal anymore, it's been cancelled out, and you don't see Manchester United throwing away a lead like this. And there it is, Manchester United are part of the Europa League final. They don't necessarily need to be there, but it would be nice for Jose Mourinho to win something he never has. And he's 90 minutes away from it now. Spurs and Crystal Palace will wrap up the Premier League season for United. And then it's on to Stockholm to face what looks to be Bayer Leverkusen. We'll have a report at the end of the match. And Marcus Rashford sealed the tie in the 67th minute to end a bit of a scoring drought he's had. It's been superfluous here tonight. But Manchester United, as always, got it done. Real Ave 0. Manchester United 1 on the night, which puts their advantage up to 4-1 on aggregate. They are off to the Europa League final. And at the end of the second half in Germany, Leverkusen went on a tear and actually ended up winning by 5-1 on aggregate thanks to their 3-0 win over Mönchengladbach. So it's Manchester United and Leverkusen in the Europa League final. With the ultimate weekend of the Premier League season and with the title already wrapped up by the champions Manchester United, Spurs can have an easiest kind of goodbye to White Hart Lane, as it is going to be the final game that Tottenham Hotspur will ever play at this ground before moving to the London Olympic Stadium, of course. And Jose says we're going to win and we're going to kind of spoil their going away party, but he's not going to make it overly difficult, as the title was already wrapped up, of course. And of course Manchester United are in the top four, so the end of the season doesn't even need to be played for United to a degree, only officially, of course. They are in the final of the Europa League as well, so that probably accounts for something. But don't forget, Manchester United secured their qualifications for the Champions League a long time ago, so for the Europa League it's going to be bragging rights more than anything else. Well, for Spurs, this final game at White Hart Lane, the Reeses in goal with Walker, Vertonghen, Alderweireld and Davis. It's Gattuso, Wanyama, Sissoko in the middle of the park. And obviously Dele Alli is in there. And of course, the main man is Harry Kane. Miran Diouf, former Manchester United man, making the bench today. Jose Mourinho doing a squad rotation. Romero keeps his place in goal. It's a back five with Darmian Jones, Piqué, Rojo and Luke Shaw. Herrera's with Schneiderlin. And I believe that's his, I'm not sure who the 17 is, it might be Jesse Lingard actually. It's Danny Blin, my apologies. The two men up front are Ashley Fletcher and Angel Correa, coming to the end of his loan from Atletico Madrid. So pure tyranny against the honour, I suppose, of refereeing the final home game for Tottenham Hotspur at this ground before their move, of course. And here we go. Spurs can have all the fun they want, Jose was saying, but we're not going to make it easy for them. We're going to try and attempt to win this match, but we're not going to be overly ambitious about it because we've already achieved our objectives for the season. So it's time to go out there and have some fun for both teams rather than anything serious. These last couple of Premier League games are rather superfluous in terms of what Manchester United are going to achieve. They're obviously already the champions with a 9-point lead over Arsenal. Romero's come out. There's a whole bit of clatter of players in the box. Here's Song, and he's going to put that one wide. Have a Europa League final to think about. But really, these games are probably being played just for officials' sake more than anything. Correa, and he's put it in, and Manchester United take a surprise lead. And it's that man again, Angel Correa, who has been sending shockwaves throughout Manchester United all season long. He pushes past his defender here. Great show of persistence by Correa, and a fantastic strike into the bottom corner. Lloris with absolutely no chance. And Manchester United have the lead, and Angel Correa is making a very late case to be someone that United might just want to hold on to. He's only got his 4th goal in the league, but he has set this English game alight this season at Manchester United. And we all know that Manchester United don't normally loan players, but obviously we're lacking in striking options, probably told for that, but they've been paid back handsomely with a goal from Angel Correa, who will go into the break with his team 1-up at White Hart Lane to sour the kind of feel-good feel of today's match, being its Spurs' last game at White Hart Lane. But the feeling has been soured thanks to the ever-rising star that is Angel Correa, of course, as we said, making a case maybe to be fully signed. Tottenham Hotspur 0, Manchester United 1 at the break. Luke Shaw keeping the ball brilliantly there. Then plays to Schneider, then plays to Ashley Fletcher. It's 2-0 to Manchester United. This game looks all but over. And Jose is wanting to assert his authority on this league title. He's not settling just to win it. He wants to win it convincingly. And a win against Spurs would pretty much settle that today as well. And then Ashley Fletcher has made doubly sure that that is most likely going to happen. And he's not taking his foot off the gas entirely, is he, Jose? You probably expected nothing less, really. First goal in the league for Ashley Fletcher. Don't forget he scored on his return in the FA Cup, I believe, against Leeds. Or the one before. It was probably Reading, actually. Leeds was the 4 goals from Marcus Rashford, wasn't it? There's a Manchester United substitution. And I believe it's going to be the captain, Angel Correa. And Herrera, my apologies. I keep getting those two mixed up. And I believe it's going to be Hugh Cooper that comes on. Tottenham corner. And well, that was going on. And Herrera came off for Hugh Cooper. So that's Herrera's game done. Obviously wanted to be said with Crystal Palace most likely. Herrera's having a really good game, isn't he? One from Son there. Sergio Romero is certainly making a late case to be Manchester United's new number 1 should David De Gea move on. Certainly making a case, isn't he? Romero and Piera are definitely going to be 2 keepers to watch out for when it comes to Manchester United. He saved another one there, Romero. Phenomenal. Well, that's been the case for Angel Correa all season, isn't it? Handful for defenders. He certainly has been. And if Manchester United are looking for a striker, I don't think we could look no further than Angel Correa. Yes, of course, Griezmann is an option. But is he a possible option? It's going to really cost a lot for Manchester United. And they already spent the excess of almost £90 million for Pogba this season. So go and Dembele clears it, and Gattuso absolutely skies it into the ground. No souvenir for a fan in the stands. Another clean sheet. Sergio Romero. And he's certainly making a case, isn't he? United number 1 should David De Gea move on at the end of the season. Well, there is the full-time whistle for the final ever game at White Hart Lane, and it's a sour one for Spurs fans today as Manchester United keep their foot on the gas in their bid to solidify the 21st league title. Well, no, they don't have to, but they wanted to win today, and they certainly got that to prove their future prowess at this point. And that man Ashley Fletcher and Angel Correa probably won't be at United next season, but they are the goal scorers today, incidentally, which is rather ironic. The 2 loanees mean it's Spurs 0, United 2 today. There was another game today, and incidentally, Arsenal wanted Stoke City by 1-0, meaning the table stays as it is. The title was already decided last week at the Emirates, of course, however. So as we said, and that actually helps Arsenal confirm their status in second place. I think they'd already had it by a while ago anyway. They were on 71 points to Spurs 64. And that sets up an interesting final day because Crystal Palace are now 2 points off third. Meaning if they win, and Spurs have to lose, by the way, because Spurs' goal difference is better, or Crystal Palace score a bunch in their win, Palace could go into third place. And that sets up an interesting final day. Liverpool look to end the season in 5th. Looks like they'll stay there ahead of West Ham, Stoke City. Chelsea recover up to 8th. Bournemouth and Southampton completing the top 10. Looks like Southampton are having a late surge. Manchester City will be safe in 14th place on 44 points. There is a chance they could go down, but they need Sunderland, Everton, Hull and Middlesbrough to all win in front of them. By the way, the relegation zone looks like this. Middlesbrough need to win to get out because their goal difference is worse than Sunderland's and Everton's and Hull City's. West Brom are gone, so that's Burnley and West Brom relegated. It is all between Sunderland, possibly Manchester City. Let's have a look. No, Manchester City are actually safe. Manchester City have made it. So it's between Sunderland, Everton, Hull City and Middlesbrough as to who goes down. The team on 44 points, I believe, is Sunderland. So if Middlesbrough have to win and outscore Sunderland by a bunch as well. So it looks like Sunderland are more or less safe with Everton and Hull City. So it's Everton, Hull City and Middlesbrough realistically that are fighting to avoid the drop on the final day of the season. West Brom and Burnley already gone. Manchester United champions, of course, by a wide margin. But before we leave you for this afternoon, let's take one look at the final fixtures of this Premier League season. Arsenal will take on Everton at the Emirates. Burnley, for their final game of the Premier League for the season, will have West Ham. Chelsea will take on Sunderland. So that's an interesting matchup we'll have to keep an eye on. Hull City will take on Spurs. The former champions Leicester City will take on Bournemouth. Liverpool take on Middlesbrough, which is not a good sign in terms of their hopes to avoid the drop. They are in the relegation zone at the moment, so it looks like all three of the probable teams that could go down actually have tough matchups, because Everton have Arsenal, Liverpool have Middlesbrough, and Chelsea have Sunderland. So the table could stay as it is at the end of next week. The new champions Manchester United will take on Crystal Palace. Southampton will take on Stoke City. Swansea City have West Brom, and Watford entertain Manchester City at Vicarage Road.